Okay, let's do another story out of the Healthy Living book, which, as you know, those of you who watch me regularly, became a scrapbook from my grandmother when she was a teenager in 1934. She uh, glued the most scandalous, wild, gruesome, gory, sad stories she could find. During the Depression, there was a lot of them, it seems. My nose itches. I'm so sorry. Outside only. Okay. Uh, all right, I'm going to show you the photo. See the two people? Suitor withdrew proposal when she confessed her intimacies. Edmonton, ALTA, what would that be? Alberta? Edmonton, Alberta, Canada? Yes. June 25th, Vivian McMillan, pretty 22-year-old stenographer, today began telling a jury in Supreme Court the story of her relations with Alberta's Premier, J.E. Brownlee, whom she accused of wrecking her life. The face of the tall, slender girl was extremely pale as she faced the man whom she and her father, Alan McMillan, are suing for unstated damages on a charge of seduction. Good grief, she's 22. Okay, maybe it started before she was, well, before she was 22. Let's see. She first met the premier. She first met the premier, Miss McMillan said, when she was 16 years old. Ooh, and he visited in their home at Edson. 2 years later, in the summer of 1930, she said, he attended a picnic and a dance with the McMillan family in Edson, told her she had grown to be a very beautiful woman, as in quotes, and suggested that she come to Edmonton, where there was more opportunity than in her native village. In response to his promise of a government job, she came here and went to live at the NWCA, or no, YWCA. And what is an NWCA? And we're both Mr. and Mrs. Brownlee. I think I have to start the sentence over. In response, In response to his promise of a government job, she came here and went to live at the YWCA, and there both Mr. and Mrs. Brownlee visited her and took her to their home for tea. She accepted their invitation to visit their home at any time, Miss McMillan said. The girl said she had tried to break off the relationship which developed between her and Rich Brownlee, but that the premier refused to allow her to do so. She told of a proposal of marriage by John Caldwell in January 1933, which was withdrawn after she confessed her relations with the premier. Mrs. Brownlee, a tall, gray-haired woman smartly dressed and wearing a silver fox fur, sat beside her husband in the courtroom. Miss McMillan wore a checkered dress and white coat and hat. Oh, how virginal. Selection of a jury of 6 men required only half an hour, and the girl's charges were briefly outlined by Attorney McLean. The evidence will show, he told the jury, that the 50-year-old premier took the girl on motor drives, told her his wife was wife in name only. Oh, men never change. Uh, and for 2.5 years had intimate relations with her at his home, his office, and during the motor trips. I assume that's the girl and not the wife. The jury was told Brownlee admitted under examination that he had kissed Miss McMillan, but said the occasion was when he was leaving home on a trip and bidding goodbye to all members of the family. Did you ever kiss her when you were alone? He had been asked in the examination. I can't be sure, was his reply. McLean told the jury that once, when Mrs. Brownlee was absent from home, the girl stayed there for 3 nights, on 2 of which the premier was at home. On another occasion, he said, in the absence of Mrs. Brownlee, Miss McMillan assisted in nursing the premier, who was ill, rubbing his back and applying mustard plaster. That's the end of that story. So it looks like people have not changed a great deal, except for nowadays we don't take people to court for such dalliances unless somebody was severely underage. when it was getting started. Anyhow, that's all. I hope you enjoyed that. Bye.